When couples come together, besides knowing if that person is compatible, they should actually come together and find out if they're financially compatible.
So if you lose your wife or your husband, whoever the homemaker is, are you going to be able to govern the house the same way without that person there?
When someone's bringing home the money, does that mean they get to control the money?
Here's the thing, people. If it's something you're thinking about, it's automatically important.
Stress is created by the uncertainty of the outcome.
That I've gone to see a counselor because I have an addiction to gambling.
When the couples are not coming together to discuss and fix it, there's something that's not being said. Hey, welcome to our Keeping It Real podcast, where we talk about real financial problems, discuss financial solutions, real financial solutions, and we talk about real people. My name's Irene Meyer.
And my name is Philip Villanueva. Last time we spoke, we were talking about retirement planning. And part of that, obviously, is when it comes to families, couples, relationships, and all that kind of stuff, what's happening now in their situation and moving forward in order to create a full retirement plan. The family involvement and the family unity is very important. So I'd like to go off of that a little bit of our retirement planning talk and bring it into actual real couple relationships and what they need to do to start building towards that plan. Now, what about couples, like a husband and a wife team and planning for retirement? Does that mean that they need to figure out their retirement individually or as a couple?
Assuming they want to stay together, I think, now being through 2 marriages, I think that if each one were actually financially independent, meaning that they had their own retirement plan and now they're coming together as a couple, they can only bonus, they can only be good. But if one is relying on the other, and no disrespect to anybody who decides they want to stay home, be the homemaker, whatever, there's nothing wrong with that. But there was a point when that person was independent and had to pay their own bills and had to work on their own. So that goes away when they decide that in this couple situation, they're going to take care of the home. It should have gone away. They should have had some sort of plan before coming into the couple situation. So if both equally, and I think this is something that I don't even know, are there even marriage classes anymore? But I think they do talk about money. I think when couples come together, besides knowing if that person is compatible physically, mentally, whatever, spiritually, they should actually come together and find out if they're financially compatible. Because if you have one person that really just, again, comes from a money mindset of, we need to hoard as much money as we can and not have a life, and that will come later. And then you have somebody who just spends frivolously, you're just looking at disaster. And then that's where people have separate finance. I think when couples have separate finances where they don't know what each other is bringing to the table financially or ongoingly, why not just fold your cards? You're bringing everything to the table anyways, hopefully. You're bringing all the honesty to the table. Bring in the money. Bring in, okay, so how do you want to do this? Do you like doing this stuff? No. No one likes doing it. So then divvying up the work, much like you divvied up the work when you said she's going to stay home. And that's another thing. But when someone's bringing home the money, does that mean they get to control the money if the other person is taking care of everything at home?
That is a relationship issue. I am not a marriage counselor, and I will never want to be one. But in that aspect of control, that is financial abuse. That's all that is. It's financial abuse. If someone says, I'm going to control the way the money is going, that's literally financial. That's if you go to counseling, they're going to call it financial abuse. Or mental, emotional abuse. That's financial abuse. But anyways, on that flip side, though, keep in mind when you as a couple are thinking about a financial plan, you might think, I'm the breadwinner, I make all the money, what's happening with my financial situation now is what's most important. So if you lose your wife or if you lose your husband, whoever the homemaker is, are you going to be able to govern the house the same way without that person there? Because if not, there's going to be an expense there.
Yeah.
Whether you bring in someone to clean the hole or whether you have to work less in order to be home to clean things up, or if you've got children, childcare, all of these things, right? So think about that. Both of you have a number that's important to the financial stability of your future. So let me ask you then, in what you were saying, if you're setting up a retirement plan for a couple, it almost sounds like there's technically 3 plans that need to be done. A him plan, a her plan, and a home plan.
Yep. I think so.
Yeah, I agree with you that if each individual had financial stability, then the combination of the two is going to work out well if the home plan coincides with their independent plan. But if the plan does not coincide, it could be leading to a disaster as well. And so when you're talking with your advisor, these things are very important, right? So make sure that things are not being left out, because you might be hurting right now and your plan might seem very difficult to get to the end goal, right? And it's a lot of work to get to that end goal. But part of the planning too is questions like, is there potential inherit coming in? Is there something down the road that maybe your parents parents have and this is why it's so important to know your family and for the advisor to know your family. Some people say, okay, I've talked to my advisor. I've set up my insurance. I've set up my investments. I've set up my plan. I'm good. I've got it all planned out. So why are you not introducing your advisor to your family? Because maybe your parents have a very healthy life insurance policy and maybe they're 90.
Yeah.
And here's the other kicker to that. Do you know about their insurance policy? Do you know anything about them when it comes to their passing?
Yeah.
Because I make it a practice now when someone gives me their beneficiary to reach out to that beneficiary and let them know what this person just did. Because if something could happen a month from now,
Yeah.
we don't know these things. We're here to help you prepare for the unexpected, but we don't actually know the unexpected.
No.
You need to be able to let everybody know what's going on. And that helps your plan as well, because maybe there is a potential inheritance coming in, something that maybe you don't know about. And knowing these things could be something that we're accounting for.
Yeah.
And it's important not to factor in because those things can change too. Insurance, bills, all these change. The reason why we stress is because we don't actually have a plan for what we're about to do. That's the only reason why we stress about anything. Going in so blind that we don't really know what we're about to do or how we're going to do.
Right. Yep. That's a really good point. Like stress is created by, again, the uncertainty of the outcome, whether it's right now or later on. Think about it. All of us humans are here to live in comfort. When the threat of danger comes, we're there to flee or fight, right? Sometimes danger is uncertain. Like sometimes that's the danger, right? So what do people do? They just rather not. So they're going to flee, right? I don't want to clean the base. That's uncomfortable for me. I'm okay. Uncertainty in that situation, Phil. Sorry to bring it back to you, but because we started with that, the uncertainty is how long is this going to take me? So there you go. You're uncertain about how you're going to feel afterwards, but then you know that it's important. Again, I guess the relative term is important, but you know that it's something you need to get to because you want to, because eventually it's going to be bigger, but you're just like, I don't need to do it today.
You said something really crucial there, saying importance is the relative word. Here's the thing, people. If it's something you're thinking about, it's automatically important.
Yeah.
Because anything that you're thinking about, that you're procrastinating on, is a stress factor to your mind and your body.
Yep.
I think, all the times that you can't sleep at night, why? It's because you're thinking about something, right?
Yeah.
Or there's a thought in your mind. You find yourself daydreaming through the day about something. It's a thought that's crossing your mind that usually is something that you want to do or it's something that's important, but you're just not doing it, right? So it crosses your mind. So that's what, and fair enough. Can we always act on the thought at that moment?
We can.
I think we could actually.
Yeah.
The reason why I started saying that to myself is I'm thinking, if I'm in a different city and I'm thinking about something I'm supposed to do at home, can I act on that right away? You're thinking about that thought and you might not be home or you might not be in a situation where you can act on it on the exact thing of that thought, but by not, let's say, putting it on a calendar or designating an actual time to do it, you might lose that thought in the front of your brain, but it's playing in the back of your brain still. You know what? So it's playing on you and it's like, wow, I was thinking about something just that it bugs you and it bugs you because it was actually important.
Yeah.
And then so it's the same thing with your financial stability and your financial planning and your retirement planning, all of that. People, you're thinking, you know what? I really need to start setting up here's a good one, an RESP for my child. I really need to start setting up an RESP for my child. Why? Because I want them to have an opportunity to go to university or college. And they start thinking, me and my husband, we want to go on this trip really bad. We'll start it after this trip. You might want to do this trip, right? But okay, let's talk about your actual budget. One, if you're going to sacrifice real like family importance for something like that, then the trip is probably not within your budget, right? It might be something that might have to happen later. You'll be able to do these things, but let's prioritize your family first. Right? Yeah. And that's a really tough, and this is where sometimes I'm a brutal advisor. I'm brutal because I ask and I say the hard things that advisors don't really want to say to people. I'm that guy. Okay, sorry. Family has to come first. You and your husband, if you don't have kids, the two of you have to come first. Because there's times where you'll have a husband and a wife team and the in-laws want to have priority on your lives. You know what? The husband and the wife have to come first. The immediate family, your immediate family circle have to come first, right? You've got children, all the needs of that entire circle needs to come first, right?
Yeah.
So the trip might be, hey, if your relationship needs it, then yeah, let's budget everything, because you don't have to top off on RSP so you're getting full government grants right away. Maybe you can factor some of this in so you can still budget for this trip that you want to go on, right? And things like, but it all takes planning. It all takes strategic planning. And that's where, when you're emotionally attached to that plan, it may not work out. That's where you need a third person, an advisor or something of that nature, to work on it with you, not for you.
Yeah.
With you. You get an advisor
Right.
doing it for you, people, you will not follow it. You will not do it.
Nope.
They need to do it with you. Okay. Talk to my wife and sort all that stuff out, will you? People. Irene will say no. We'll say no because it doesn't work. Because what's going to happen is you're not going to follow the plan that your wife and Irene made because you are not a part of that team to organize it. So
Right.
with you or deal whenever we're doing these kind of things.
What do you do when you have a couple and one of them just does not want to be involved with the finances for whatever reason? What do you do?
Find them a good marriage counselor.
Could be an opt-in. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a real life question for real scenarios. And I guess the first question would be, why not? Why don't they?
Yeah.
Because do they have a hidden agenda? I heard one advisor actually, it was, okay, he's talking to the wife on the phone call, right? And she's saying exactly that scenario. He doesn't, you know what his first question was? How long has your husband been cheating on you? Oh, right off the top. How long has your husband been cheating on you? I was like, whoa, mind you, to be honest with you, that's exactly what I was thinking. How long has that person been having an affair?
Okay, wait. So the advisor said, how long has your husband been cheating on you? The wife said,
she called in and she was talking about wanting to set up a retirement and like a retirement plan, but her husband was not on board and he's not willing to share anything about his financial situation. They're married, doesn't want to share anything about, and there was two advisors sitting in this call. This is on a podcast, by the way. And the one advisor just hit it right off. Boom. How long has your husband been? And the other advisor sitting beside him said, because the reason why we asked that, because she was like, didn't know what to say at first. So she went quiet. And he said, I'm not trying to be mean. And then the other advisor says, yeah, because whenever we see this is because he's expensing things that he does not want you to see. I'll tell you where someone was cheating. And this is a real scenario. So the husband and wife team that my client, they're actually my client, husband and wife team that were wanting to do their finances separately. The wife was never wanting to, she just outright refused to do it together as a household income. Outright refusing. Down the road, I get a phone call. I just want you to know that I've gone to see a counselor because I have an addiction to gambling. That's why she didn't want to do the combined. She didn't want her husband to know because she had an addiction to gambling. And that's why she was always with her investments, stopping them, taking money out, doing it was sporadic. And I used to always just try and educate her along the way, but it came to a point where she just asked for the money or do this. I just did it because there was no fixing it. And she wasn't opening that part of it up to me. I would say to her, I did say at one point, I did say, there might be a problem here that you might want to look at, but I'm not a counselor either. I can't do that. So she ended up recognizing, going to a counselor and realized that she has an addiction to gambling. She was cheating in her relationship and hiding the fact. So that happens, and that's probably what's going on. Or again, financial abuse, that's another factor, all those kind of things. But there's definitely a relationship issue that's not on the table that one of the people are not aware of.
Yeah, when the couples are not coming together to discuss and fix it or work on it, there's something that's not being said. It might not be as brutal as that. It might be as small as somebody's been handling the finances up till now and have made really bad choices in terms of taking on debt and really didn't open it up to the other person because they didn't want them to feel like worried or something. Like maybe something, but there's always something that's being not told in a situation like that. And so if you're part of a couple where both couples are actually bringing, when both couples are bringing income to the table, then you're looking at an opportunity here to really fix it. But if both of them or one of them is not willing to talk about it, there is something missing. And again, not putting on my judgment as relationship because I'm not a relationship coach or anything like that, but there is a deeper issue. There is something that's being hidden. Couples out there, if you don't have your stuff in place, and again, we're coming back down to, should couples have a plan together or their own plan? And like you said, there's actually 3 plans. There should be 3 plans that are at least in existence. You have this 3rd plan that didn't work out. You might go back to the individual plans, but things have changed. So you're going to create a brand new 4th plan now. I mean, I think this is a great time to wrap up. All right. Have a good day.